Well, let's get into the news review now. And guess who just joined me? Samuel Kojo Braces in the studio. Beam, Charlie. What ain't happened?
Yeah, big man.
Hey.
Everything is fine.
Wagwan.
Everything is
and then me part one of my and can be flow be. You remember there was this time I dared what's his name? One of the Tamale MPs. I don't know whether it's Tamale Central. Mutala. No, Mutala. Mm-hmm. I think it's Tamale, one of them. And he came on my show and somehow he had been speaking some patois before the show started. AM.
And it affected you?
No, not even that. And then he started talking about how Krum Yeyi Black Rasta and a Stoneboy. He is like, he's in there.
He's a next one.
And he did some, it even became a big story, entertainment story that we did. So this morning I was trying to see whether I could consult the Patois Oracle.
You see that action?
It's not that kind of morning. It's too nippy. The weather is too chilly.
Well, if you don't get your patois, maybe I have to teach you a little of my language.
Oh, that?
To say, how are you? In my language, a hunter, we say kedia.
Kedia.
And then you say muoke.
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 No, muoke, that's it. You know, so
that's what, Nzima?
A hunter.
A hunter.
Yeah. So if you forget, if you get patois, just say kedia. That's a hunter for you.
Okay. Kojo, kedia.
Muoke. If I want to give you elective, I'll say more DNA. But that's elective, so.
I would have taken you on a rough terrain with international language. But as you say there,
don't try.
We take it. And there's a whole lot to talk about. So before we get into the papers, I just want to know, e-levy implementation, some 48 hours away.
Yeah.
And it's one of the major issues we're deliberating on today. In fact, for those of you watching, we'll activate the phone lines today. We want to hear from you. Are you ready? And what do you think about the implementation? But so far, we've heard some very interesting, had some very interesting dynamics. So Sam Jatta George has been saying, for example, and he's been interacting with us on the Super Morning Show, he has said that he has raised a number of concerns that the decision to begin the implementation of the e-levy would face a lot of hurdles. In fact, he can bet his bottom dollar that it will not happen. And in a tweet from him, he says, I am extremely confident that the Ghana Revenue Authority cannot implement the obnoxious e-levy in the format they have advertised on the 1st of May 2022. It is simply impracticable and untenable at this time. They either postpone the start date or revert to phase 1 of the implementation as earlier advised. That is what he says here. We've heard the GRA say categorically that they are rolling out, the process on May the 1st. But we've seen a follow-up from them, haven't we?
I've been following a tweet by Bright Simons.
Right.
And he attached a circle of a sort from the GRA.
Right.
Now he says anyone who has even breathed in the direction of software could have told the Finance Ministry for free that building a cross-network system to apply a long list of exemptions, etc., cannot be done in 1 month. Not when you don't even have a proper functional spec developed. Now, this is what the GRA thing he attached says. I don't know. You can see that.
Yeah.
So let me try and read it. It says the date was yesterday, 28th April. Of course,
so it's very current.
Yes, and it was
assuming the statement is actually kosher.
From there, yes.
Right.
Now, it says, RE, notice to commence the implementation of electronic transfer levy, e-levy. This has reference to our letter dated April 4th, 2022 on the above subject. Following Ghana Revenue Authority's assessment of the general readiness of some charging entities to integrate with the e-levy management system, the Commissioner General has decided on a modified phased approach for the implementation of the levy from 1st of May 2022. The guidelines for the modified phased approach are attached herewith. Yours faithfully, Reverend Dr. Mishadai Owusu Amwa, Commissioner General, and it's copied to the Minister for Finance, Minister of State, Minister of Finance, Minister of Minister of Communications, the Governor Bank of Ghana, CEO ARB Apex Bank, Ghana Association of Banks, Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Ghana Chamber of Technology, Executive Secretary, Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, Chairman, E-Levy Technical Committee, GRA.
Okay. So all of these people are copied in this, and that is the latest purportedly from
the GRA.
The GRA. So it makes for interesting reading, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right now, I guess many people are in limbo. Is it starting or not?
If you listen to the tone of this letter, it is.
Right.
But the wholesale approach is what probably they have considered to say, okay,
so there'll be a phase 1, phase 2.
So the GRA may probably have to educate us today as to what they mean by phased approach. What does it mean? If you say phased approach, what is going to be phase 1? What is going to be phase 2? So these are the kind of education we need to be having today.
And that dovetails into the last part of Sam George's tweet. He says, they either postpone start date or revert to phase 1 implementation as earlier.
So I'm sure
advised.
he knows something we don't.
Right. And
this
he's been
letter,
saying quite a lot. He's been talking about different dynamics to it, but we'll get into it today.
Sure.
As we,
it's interesting anyway.
Other bits.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. Maybe just to wrap as well, and this is already in the Ghanaian Times, so I'll just cede to that. The Ghanaian Times newspaper. 3.2 million required to equip Ho Teaching Hospital Cardio Center. $3.2 million, of course. 29,954 teachers promoted to various ranks, and that is heartwarming, isn't it? And policeman allegedly commits suicide. Ooh. That's a sad situation.
That's terrible to hear.
Speaking of a policeman, that reminds me though. Yesterday, in Okaikwe South, we had, unfortunate scenes that hopefully we will not see too many of. I cannot say ever see again, because we know how, we've seen pockets in other areas as well. Is it Yendi also, among other places? But there was someone that, when I sat here with Raymond yesterday, as we spoke on those issues, that we felt was a police officer, which I guess the Ghana Police Service has come out to say, we do not know this person. Do you know what my worry is?
No.
If you recall Ayawaso West Wogon and what happened, this gentleman is dressed just like those who were the participants or those who created the sort of turmoil we saw in Ayawaso West Wogon with the dark, the brown boots and the other.
But those were members of the national security, weren't they?
So it's raised a lot of questions.
Is this guy a member of the national security or not?
That I cannot confirm, because from what I hear, the Ghana Police Service has come out to say, we do not know this gentleman. He is not part of our team. But I'm asking myself, in terms of dressing protocols and all of that, are they allowed to dress this way if the person actually turns out to be the bodyguard? Okay. No, the bodyguard of Dakwa Newman, the member of parliament. But I do not know.
But again, the MPs were giving personal police officers.
Is it all of them who have that?
But
this issue has been.
I think it's all of them.
It's been in the fray.
I think it's all of them. When we had this discussion some time ago about giving protection.
No, I recall. And a lot of them have also come out to say that it's not.
Really?
I don't know whether it's all of them who have this kind of.
So under which circumstance did the Medina MP, what's his name, Lawyer Susu, right?
Right.
That's the Medina MP.
Right. Francis Xavier Susu.
Yes, get the police officer to be his bodyguard. You remember when they wanted to arrest him?
Right.
You're talking about
he had a
So under which circumstances did he have? I know MPs who also have police officers as we shouldn't say bodyguards anyway. We probably say their security detail. So
let's say that is the norm. Let's assume that is the norm. So then it comes into play. The police service says, we don't know this guy. They have disowned him. So who is he?
Oh, no.
Where is he coming from? And how come we are seeing this person supposedly vote, participating in? You get the picture?
Yeah. Yesterday we were hearing.
Which then makes him a delegate.
What is
going on?
We're hearing that he's a chairman of one of the electoral areas or so. And that was an information that was coming up. Maybe, as you said, today we'll get better details.
So he's a pseudo security officer, and I'm not saying police. Pseudo security officer
I must quickly add that I know some MPs who don't also have police officers following them around.
No, that's exactly what I was pointing to. I've had some of them tell me.
Yes.
So
maybe it wasn't everybody who took it. And probably Madam Dako also arranged his personal detail, and this is this guy. But we should be educated or informed on whether he is a delegate or what, so that when you are making analysis, you can then know what to say. Not just to conjecture.
Because Raymond and I were here, scratching our heads, basically wondering, So is he a police officer?
And when I was watching,
and he's voting,
I could have that.
I was a bit confused.
We were all talking about it in the newsroom, that that's a police officer voting there. So yesterday in the evening, we learned that the police had invited him for interrogation.
Right.
The police should come out and give us better information.
And this is where sometimes it gets a bit murky because you don't get the sort of information you need. Everything is shrouded in secrecy. Oh, the police says he is not one of ours. So where does he lie?
Exactly.
Who is he? We need to know.
The police should come out.
We need to know. On occasion of the 30th anniversary of the referendum, and this was something else I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Democracy, good for us. President affirms and urges Ghanaians to renew trust in constitution. He's been saying that some people, for some selfish reasons, may want to use the back door, which is the military option, to come to power. I think it's on the back of some of what we've seen.
The utterances by some people
in recent times. Have you seen Oliver Barker-Vomo's Equal Cake?
Equal cake.
Yeah.
Really, I've not seen.
You know, we had an E-levy cake. The majority leaders. Recently, I spotted him with an equal cake, but I'm sure it was all in jest.
I haven't
just
seen
the jovial.
it. But I've seen a statement of him after the president spoke. But I think the president, what basically he wanted to do was to build our confidence in the constitution, to say, look, this is the best we can have. It might not be perfect, and he said this is a living constitution, so we need to modify it when we can. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to look at the provisions of the constitution that need to be touched, because look, I always say the constitution was made for us, not us for the constitution. So it gets to a point we feel that this has outlived its relevance. We need to then touch it and make it relevant to the current context.
30 years on, everything is what it used to be.
That's why.
And I feel as a living document, any constitution is meant to be a living document. It must actually serve the ambitions, the aspirations. And when you read the preamble to the constitution, you see that. It must serve the purpose of the people.
And
so if the people are changing, the Ghanaians in 1992
the ambitions have changed.
Definitely are not the Ghanaians of 2022.
Because you hear people say that, well, the constitution was drafted in a way to give confidence to the leader at the time, Jerry John Lawrence, may God bless his memory, that we're moving from a military regime to a democratic regime. You needed to assure him that, look, you'll still be in charge. There are certain things that would inure to your benefit. And that's why certain provisions were put in the constitution. Long after him, we've had how many presidents after him? We've had John Agyekum Kufuor, we've had John Evans Atta Mills, we've had John Dramani Mahama, we've had Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
I nearly said John Nana Addo.
We've had 4 presidents. So it tells you that we've gone way beyond Mr. Rawlings. And therefore, if there were certain things that were put in there to get him to buy into the idea, we should then change them. For example, the president spoke about the participation in local governance. You put a clause in there to say that.
Are you speaking of the 55-3?
Exactly. Right. If the president wants us to share our thought or to decide where we want to go to, bring it to us. Let us vote. Whether you want political parties to...
But that thing was coming, and they backtracked on it.
That is what I'm saying.
Because at the time, look, honestly, I feel at the time they realized that the sentiment was that people were not going to go for it.
No, so bring it.
So they had to backtrack.
No, so push
to avoid many things.
No.
I mean, spending money.
No.
And other, you know.
When they wanted to do the referendum on the constitution.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. At the time, the temperature. I'm sure Nana Addo and his government realized that if they put it forward, people would vote against it, and the aim wouldn't be achieved.
Which aim?
Maybe
that you want to involve the political parties.
No, I mean, when you look at 55-3 and what it says, and let me just quote here, because I have...
55-3 is basically about the fact that...
So it says, subject to the provisions of this article, a political party is free to participate in shaping the political will of the people, to disseminate information on political ideas, social and economic programs of a national character, and sponsor candidates for elections to any public office other than to district assemblies or lower local government units. That is where the thorny area is, because we're looking at all of these being elected.
Yes.
You get it?
Exactly.
That was the provision. But at the time, I'm telling you that people, the sentiment generally was that people were going to vote against it. So instead of losing the battle, because once you put it up in the referendum, it is done. So let's avoid it, and maybe later, like we're seeing now, with the president suggesting that he still feels that it is a way that we ought to go as a country. So it may be tabled now. I have my difficulties.
But do you think if this referendum is, or this thing is, this question is posed to Ghanaians, that would you allow political parties to participate? You think Ghanaians will agree to this?
I cannot say for certain. Ghanaians would have to decide. But at the time, the sentiment was against this bit. But for me, I mean, there are so many issues to look at when it comes to this matter. I feel it would have served a purpose because guess what? The political parties have their influences there anyway, like it or not.
Exactly.
In fact, it is happening anyway.
Yes.
But the point is, once you once you legislate on it, give it power, then it becomes something else. Look at what we are seeing. And it's interesting. Look at what we saw in Okaikwe South. Look at what we are seeing intra-party within our political parties. MPP for now. Who knows what will happen in the NDC? Hopefully not same. But with all of these things happening, it tells you that even when it devolves further down, you can imagine what will happen. It will be more politics at that level, and who knows what will happen. So it's dicey for me.
So that is why that referendum should have gone ahead. Let us decide. You put it out there. We decided yes
or against. It was meant to go ahead. Some people decided, okay, let's not do it anymore.
But you had the president. The president said, I withdrew it because I didn't get a buy-in of the minority of the NDC.
I don't think it was necessarily the minority.
No, but he said the NDC pulled out of it, and that's why he didn't go ahead.
Government at the time felt it would have egg on its face if it went ahead with it. And you know the bit about referenda and getting it wrong, the people voting against it. It paints a negative picture. I feel in the interest of their party and looking good, they did what was in the interest of their party. But I feel that referendum should have been allowed to go ahead.
Anyway, because if that's the focus, that we want to ensure that Ghanaians whether agree or disagree in terms of allowing political parties into local governance, we should have pushed it out there. Let us decide. If we want to do it, we will. I know the CDD has done a survey in this regard, whether Ghanaians would want political party participation or not. So it's something that I feel like he gave an assurance, and I hope that he really lives up to it, that at some point in my term, before I leave office, I'll bring this whole thing back. And I pray that he does, so that we Ghanaians can decide whether we want political parties to get involved or not. When Ghanaians decide, that is the decision of the country. That's the decision of all of us, and then we are bound by it. Right. So I hope that it comes out, then we can all decide.
Let's take a quick look at the daily graphic.
Well, it still talks about the e-levy taking off on Sunday. It says GRA banks, telcos ready for implementation. It comes with a photograph of Reverend Dr. Amishadai Owusu Amoah. Contrasting development at MPP constituency elections. Protect constitution against saboteurs. President rallies citizens.
And who are the saboteurs?
Well, like you said, people who have tried to promulgate the idea of, coup in a certain sense. Some people are on trial for this whole thing. You remember some people were caught and said they wanted to stage a coup. I hope you follow.
What has happened to all these people? From Dr. Matpam and all of the others. They're still, but that raises another question about executing cases. Just yesterday we were talking about fast-tracking cases and the case-tracking systems with Professor Itia and others. If these people are culpable, and there's that police officer as well, I've forgotten his name. If these people are culpable, the law should deal with them appropriately and the right sentences should follow. If they are not, why are we keeping them in this cagey situation where they are either incarcerated, not granted bail, and all of that? That also feeds into this whole bit, the human rights issue. You remember that report very recently from the US State Department that we are talking about. If it is confirmed, go through the legal processes within a certain span. It's treason felony, so what? Go through it and let them face the penalty. If not, why are we? It's like Oliver Barker-Vormawor.
I'm sure
this is going to end up anyway.
I'm sure you've heard the statement that the wheels of justice grind slowly. So maybe that is one of them. Now, if you go to page 13, there's an article that says encourage girls, women to bridge the digital divide. That's written by Dr. Prince Hamid Ama, Member of Parliament for Kwesimintim. Beautiful article that I'm sure if you get to read, it would really help you to appreciate why we need to empower our girls and women to really go into the digital space. Yeah.
Let's look at some other stories. The Finder newspaper, here's what they found. Lands Minister markets Ghana's bauxite to investors abroad. There's also tripartite committee tasked to submit single spine review report in 3 months. Now, this interests me, this whole bit about the single spine. You know, it's on the back of that we've seen, you know, all the agitation from CLOCSAC and the TUC and others. And now there's disagreement between those two unions, even concerning May Day celebrations.
Yeah.
But the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafwewa, has tasked the National Tripartite Committee to review the single spine pay policy and submit a report on it in 3 months. The minister said this when he inaugurated a 9-member technical committee to review the policy and make recommendations for consideration by government. You know, we've done about 10 years plus of single spine without any proper reviews. And recently, as, what's his name? Austin Game corrected me. We've had a few, you know, confabs on that. But it obviously needs a lot of tweaking. I don't feel it's serving its purpose in entirety, and I agree that it ought to be looked at. Fourth Republic democracy has been good for Ghana. Let's protect it, President Akufo-Addo. And Okaikwe South MPP finally elects constituency executives peacefully. Yeah, after all the fracas.
After the initial brouhaha there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But just to ask you, on the back of what the president has said, let's protect it, the Fourth Republican democracy. I just want to find out from you, as a young person in this country, our brand of democracy, what we have practiced in the Fourth Republic, forget everything from before, has it lived up to expectation? Rawlings to Kufuor to Mills, may so rest in peace, and Rawlings may so rest in peace as well, to Mahama, to Akufo-Addo. Sometimes when I hear talk about this, as a student of politics, I wholly agree. The militant or military option or martial option is not the way to go. But sometimes I sit down and reflect, this democracy, per our own practice, how we have contextualized it, is it serving our purpose?
In a way, yes, in a way. But it needs modification, really. About the way we have practiced it, we need to have a change. Like some time ago, I said that the way we have monetized student politics.
Now, who caused them? MPC, NDC. It's them now cause them.
It's dangerous.
They've made it degenerate. Tain and Tescon
exactly.
Look, to the point where even SRC elections.
It is on party lines. And we know, you cannot hide from this, that this candidate is from the MPP, this candidate is from the NDC.
And look, I interact with some of these people. They'll tell you, see that they are being bankrolled by people in the party.
Oh yes.
And you see them doing things. So the corruption starts right from there.
So, you know, so you can say that we have lived up to expectation as to how it has made us a stable, you know, democracy in West Africa. And when you're talking about stable democracies in Africa, I'm sure we are part of the top 5, you know. So it's good, but the way we do it, where we have monetized our democracy, where the way we've I don't know if I should call it insultified. Insult is part of it. Use of machoism. All of these things are things that we need to change about our democracy. There are fine brains that don't want to get associated with partisan politics because of the way we've gone about it. That some young boy can get up and be insulting anybody because in the name of politics.
Because we've tainted it. And you see, that is precisely why when it comes to Article 55.3 of our Constitution, that's my fear. As it goes down. These are some of my fears. The same influence.
But that is why I think
money politics.
That's why I think Ghanaians will not buy into this. So give it to them. Let us decide.
Well,
do you want political parties to get involved?
I agree with you. Let the people decide.
Yeah. But let me take you back to the Daily Graphic short.
Sure.
On page 18, it says reverse injunction. Kwesi tells Supreme Court. You know, the Asan North Member of Parliament is still battling this issue with the Supreme Court. When you get the paper, you can get details in there. Now, CPP internal challenges under control. Bright Akwete says. I'm sure you've been. I saw you talking a lot to them about their internal politics.
So I spoke to the party's chairperson, Madam Kumankuma, and as well as the General Secretary of the party, Nanaya Ajantwa. And we can only wish them the best.
The best, okay. Now let me take you to the Daily Guide. It says, democracy has been good for us, Akufo-Addo says. U.S. affirms 2020 polls, Baumia tout government digitization feat, fire kills 2 at Kolebu. This thing was, I mean, why?
See, I always have my problems with some of the papers that take only one angle. Yes, the human rights report says that per reports, I mean, from our own papers and all of that, the polls were, pretty credible. But it also talks about the 8 people who were killed. It talks about the other negatives. I mean, we should have balanced stories talking about all of these matters as well.
Okay. When you go to page 5 of Daily Guide, it says Putin warns US and allies against intervention in Ukraine. So it is to tell you, Massa, stay in your lane. Don't come here, because if you do, the ramifications will be too dire. Fight verdict in Sankara trial. Guilty verdict in Sankara trial. Activists fight against impunity in Burkina Faso. These stories can be found in the Daily Guide newspaper. Ben.
Let's quickly look at this. Republic Press, UN Under-Secretary General connects with spirits of African ancestors. What is it?
Come in again.
UN Under-Secretary General connects with spirits of African ancestors.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Nananum, he's calling on, yeah, man. CEOs of state-owned enterprises don't do anything to deserve fat salaries. That's according to Ken Thompson of Daylex Finance. You remember the sector minister has been talking about the fact that, he is a fan of fat salaries.
And then again, he said that he's an advocate for good pay. And that if you pay people well and they don't do what you exact performance from them, I think, like you said, sometimes we should also bring that one to up.
So it's a wrap for me. I don't know.
Oh, it is for you. Anyway, tripartite, when you go to the publisher, it says tripartite committee tasked to submit single spine review report in 3 months. You mentioned it. And, the clock sack thing, the other time when we met them at the Labour Commission, they said they've given the employer today to submit a payment plan for their neutrality allowance. It is upon the receipt of that they will take a decision as to whether they should continue or they should withdraw.
Charlie, with all this talk, I think, come to think of it, I think I should also ask my employer for neutrality allowance.
Neutrality allowance. The other day we were discussing that it's even. Oh, yeah.
What was that?
Journalists grinding here.
You for your team bomb ni enko bi say.
But me just say. Can answer.
But are you ready for the e-levy?
Oh yes. I mean, look. What more can I do? You remember when there was this communication service tax?
Yeah.
People said, "Oh, we'll reduce the number of calls we make. Yeah. We'll do this." What happened?
Right.
We even increased.
No, but that did not have any loopholes. This has loopholes. You can really? Decide whether it will hit you or not.
Anyway, but I mean, I've not taken a decision. I'm still on mobile money, and I'll still be on. We pray
maybe I can sing the song. I have decided. ... Up next, we have Sports Tuesday.